A very good evening and welcome to this Saturday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Naik. Let's start off tonight's bulletin with a look at the headlines.
Report on Avantgarde's floating armoury will be handed over to the Ministry of Defence on Monday. A statement from the Navy. Speed limits imposed on the Southern Expressway between Kokmaduwa and Imaduwa. 19 Indian fishermen arrested for breaching Sri Lankan waters. Sri Lanka beat Malaysia 40-0 to qualify for the Cup quarter-finals of Asia Rugby Sevens.
The Navy has announced that the investigation report of the Avantgarde floating armoury anchored in Galle will be handed over to the Ministry of Defence on Monday. And speaking to us early in the day, the Director General of the Coast Guard Department said they will assist the Navy in its investigations.
The Avantgarde floating armoury entered the Sri Lankan contiguous zone on the 5th from Sudan. Speaking to Newsfirst, the Navy commander said that the vessel is now in the custody of the Navy as the skipper of the vessel failed to provide any credible information. A high-ranking spokesperson of the Sri Lankan Navy told Newsfirst today that an independent committee will be appointed to continue investigations into the vessel. The responsibility of enforcing the law in a coastal area, the territorial waters and the maritime zones of Sri Lanka and the high seas is vested with the Coast Guard Department of Sri Lanka. Director General of the Department, Rear Admiral GDAS Wimalatunga, stated that Coast Guard personnel are already assisting in the investigations with regard to the floating armoury. He added, however, that he is yet to receive instructions on any future course of action.
The topic was the centre focus of discussions on the political programme Face the Nation last evening.
We have a letter here which is written by Avantgarde to the Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Defence. He is a private company. He shouldn't be writing to the Ministry of Defence and telling her that she wants this, that and the other. This is a clear abuse of power. This has happened because the former Defence Secretary has taken away the Sea Marshal Service from the Sri Lankan Navy, which was around $400–500 million business, $400–500 million business, and handed it over to a company called Ratna Araksha Lanka Limited. Yes, it is owned by the government of Sri Lanka, so we can construe that that is part of the government. However, they have no right to then go and delegate these sovereign powers to some private company.
No, I think this is a serious issue. It was even a subject of discussion at the last cabinet meeting. Several ministers came out and said that we need to finish this investigation and make it known to the public of this country, who are also very anxious to find out the result of this investigation as to what happened, if there was someone benefiting from this huge foreign exchange revenue that this company had been able to receive. So hopefully,
what was the outcome
we will be able to.
Meeting,
pardon?
Minister? What was the outcome?
Well, I can't divulge everything to you, but I just thought I'll share with you the fact that ministers are interested.
You're representing the public of this country.
Yeah,
don't they have the right to know?
Yeah, I also have what is called collective responsibility that I share with all the other cabinet colleagues.
Over the years, Indian fishermen have made a common practice of breaching into Sri Lankan waters to poach from lucrative fishing grounds. Despite repeated calls for a stop to illegal fishing in Sri Lankan waters and even the threat of arrest and the use of firearms on encroaching Indian fishermen, a lasting solution to this issue between Sri Lanka and its neighbour is yet to be reached.
It was a good day for the fishermen in Eravur, Batikalo, as they managed to bring back a catch weighing 200 kilograms today.
Many encroach on Sri Lankan waters to extort marine resources. Indian fishermen who breached the maritime boundary with Sri Lanka head back to their shores with a catch that originated from our waters. The ocean is a pillar of the Sri Lankan economy, and if such illegal fishing activities continues, there will be nothing left for the future generation of the country.
Indian fishermen use an illegal method called bottom trawling to engage in fishing in the northern seas of Sri Lanka. Bottom trawling not only takes away the fish in the oceans but also damages the ocean bed, destroying marine habitat and resources. Last year, the breach of Indian fishermen into Sri Lankan waters was evident in satellite images obtained by authorities, and Newsfirst is in possession of footage which show Indian fishermen fishing in Lankan waters. 19 Indian fishermen who breached the maritime boundary with Sri Lanka were arrested and handed over to the Department of Fisheries. Navy spokesperson Commander Indika De Silva, speaking in Newsfirst, said that the fishermen were arrested in the eastern seas of Point Pedro and were escorted to the Kankasanthare coast, following which they were handed over to the Department of Fisheries. A joint operation by the Coast Guard and the Navy led to these arrests.
The central government and the government of Tamil Nadu must hold discussions with the government of Sri Lanka and take measures to protect our livelihoods. The fishermen are in fear. The central government must take actions to solve this. Over 10,000 families are directly involved in this industry. There are 20,000 other families that are indirectly depending on this industry. We ask that we be allowed to fish in our traditional fishing spots. We do not say that it is right for them to come here and fish in our area. They come in their boats to this side and play. Their numbers might increase in the coming months. They come to this side at night. Since the past 2 months, we incur losses over 600,000 to 700,000 rupees a month. They are coming to invade us.
Indian fishermen breach our waters and engage in fishing. They are harming the sovereignty of the country. A government is elected to protect the sovereignty of the country. The responsibility of the elected government is to ensure that the sovereignty of the nation is protected.
It has been said that due to this particular method of fishing, the marine resources on the Indian side has been totally destroyed. There is nothing more. And that is the reason why these fishermen are now coming into the territorial waters into Sri Lanka. The fishermen in the northern province are worst affected, and we as the Tamil National Alliance has taken this up with the government. There have been meetings with the President, but to no avail, sadly, because no decisive action has been taken, and that is why I think it is timely that this adjournment motion has been moved. If bottom trawling is banned by law, now presently there is a regulation under the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Act where this method of fishing is regulated. Now that won't do. It must be totally banned.
The war came to an end in 2009, and after the war came to an end, naturally there was the desire on the part of the northern fishermen, the Sri Lankan northern fishermen, to commence their fishing activity, because that has been their only livelihood. The Indian fishermen, sir, are crossing the international boundary, and they are coming into Sri Lankan waters and fishing as they please. The Sri Lankan Navy and the Indian Navy or the Indian Coast Guard, so as to ensure that this is prevented, that Indian fishermen with their trawlers in particular coming into Sri Lankan waters is stopped by a joint exercise in which both governments are engaged, their navies are engaged, or the Coast Guard personnel are engaged.
They speak of the grievances of the fishermen. They speak of Indian fishermen breaching our waters. Why can't we put a stop to this? Is there a diplomatic issue? Who will suffer in the end? It will be the fishermen. Why isn't the government coming forward to assist the livelihood of these fishermen?
Whenever Indian fishermen were arrested by the Sri Lankan authorities for breaching the maritime boundary, fishermen in Tamil Nadu engaged in protest. In August last year, 5,000 Tamil Nadu fishermen bearing white flags attempted to reach Kachadev. Late last year, a Tamil Nadu fishing vessel had met with an accident. A search team from Tamil Nadu was engaged in the operation yesterday as well.
Poaching waters, can this be punished with shooting? Human rights.
Look, we have no coast guard. We only recently established a coast guard. But you know, you asked me the first thing. You are trying to put the IMF. Why are you coming into our waters? Why are you fishing in our waters? Stay on the Indian side. Then there will be no issue. There no one will shoot anyone else. You stay on the Indian side and let our fishermen stay on the Sri Lankan side. We are otherwise don't charge. You make accusations about human rights violation by the Navy. You came in there. Look, we are taking away a livelihood of our northern fishermen.
But that can't justify taking lives, no sir.
Look, you can't come. It's a right of this. Someone tries to break into my house, I can shoot. If he gets killed, the law allows me to do that. Look, on the fishermen's one, as far as I am concerned, I have very, very strong line. This is our waters, and the fishermen of Jaffna should be allowed to fish. And I mean, we stopped them from fishing. That's why the Indian fishermen came in. They must be allowed, and they are willing to have a deal. Let's have a reasonable deal, but not at the expense of the income of the northern fishermen.
The Road Development Authority says that all necessary steps would be taken to stabilize the mountainous area between Imadua and Kokmadua on the Southern Expressway, which poses a risk of landslides. Director of the Expressway Operations and Maintenance Unit at the authority, S. Opanayaka, stated that only one section of the road would be opened for traffic until the maintenance is complete.
The risk of landslides arose on the slopes above the Imadua and Kokmadua on the 1st of this month. The Road Development Authority had to suspend vehicular movement on the road temporarily for 5 days. A lane of the expressway was opened up for vehicular movement at around 7 last evening. 2 lanes have been shut down, covering the area that is prone to landslides, and 2 lanes on the opposite direction have been opened up for by-lane vehicular movement. We request the drivers to maintain a speed of 40 kilometers per hour and to stick to the lanes that have been allocated. We have requested the NBRO to expedite the activities, taking into consideration the inconvenience that is caused to the public. The general public pays a toll to use the expressway to reach their destinations, reducing the time spent navigating traffic on more congested routes.
The Department of Motor Traffic says that bus drivers will be directed to a special training program aimed to minimize motor accidents.
The Commissioner General of Motor Traffic, Jagat Chandrasiri, said that the training will be classified as a special qualification required to engage in public transportation. He went on to say that legal action will be taken against drivers who continue to engage in passenger transport services without the department's approval. The police say that the number of deaths due to accidents that have been reported from January 2015 to the 30th of September the same year stood at 2,171. According to police data, 2,007 fatal accidents, 5,391 serious accidents, 10,231 minor accidents and 9,940 cases of property damage that occurred as a result of accidents have been reported in this time frame. The number of deaths due to accidents have increased by 349 when compared to 2014. According to passengers, private bus drivers lack discipline and are reckless and do not care for the safety of the passengers nor the pedestrians. Such incidents were recorded on camera today.
No compassion can be expected towards the elderly. They have stooped down to a very low level.
A situation has risen where we cannot travel in the bus or on the road. When they race each other, it creates a situation where they might even run over people.
They ride like horses. They do not care even if the passengers die.
You are watching News First. World Mental Health Day was observed today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The event's theme was a balanced mind to uplift Sri Lanka. The logo of the World Mental Health Day celebrations, a butterfly pinned on President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence. The theme for this year's World Mental Health Day, observed on the 10th of October is Dignity in Mental Health. A memento was presented to the President, while the Minister of Health and Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Rajati Sena-Ratne, was present at the event.
A dangerous rogue elephant in the Patikalo area was captured yesterday after a valiant job done by the Wildlife Department. This elephant had been terrorizing a village and had killed and maimed on more than one occasion. And shortly after the protest that lasted for 8 hours on Monday by about 1,000 locals from 15 surrounding villages, Patikalo wildlife officers stepped into action, finally capturing the animal after a 3-day operation.
This is what happens to elephants who cross over to human settlements and behave badly. This animal, in the prime of his life, has been punished as it was found guilty of killing humans, 2 men and a woman. The motive, we are told, for this pachyderm moving into human areas is lack of food in his usual habitat and the fact that animals like this are running out of space in the jungle due to rapid deforestation.
There was a huge problem from the wild elephants in the Vellawali area. Yes, we could find the killer elephant in the Vellawali area. He was around 9 feet high and around 40-45 years old male elephant. We could find yesterday, so we could tranquilize the animal. So we hope to translocate the elephant into safe area.
Wildlife officials say that there is yet another elephant to be captured and that this will be done soon. How successful will these operations be in settling the larger issues of the human-elephant conflict is yet to be seen.
The issue does not seem to be restricted to Patikalo alone. Over in the south, a malfunctioning electric fence set up for the sole purpose of preventing wild elephants invading human settlements has given cause for the lives of these villagers to be threatened on a daily basis.
In Valiara Surya weather, a house was damaged at around 1 in the morning by a wild elephant that roamed out of a jungle nearby. As the occupants of the house were not in at the time, no casualties were reported. However, the damage was in the tens of thousands. Meanwhile, the threat of elephants seems to be on the rise in the Chinkamani Thopur area. This has given cause to much caution among the area residents as a result.
The campaign titled For Our Children to ensure the protection of children and build a better future for the children entered its 6th day today and was worked off in the Matale and Trincomalee districts. This island-wide awareness campaign is organised by Newsfirst together with the Ministry of Law and Order and Prison Reform.
Children are like flowers. As flowers bring about a sweet aroma in the surroundings, children are a fundamental factor to bring about a beautiful world. It is our collective duty to protect these flowers and not let them be crushed. Newsfirst, which has understood the importance of children, is currently undertaking an island-wide awareness campaign to ensure the security and safety of the children. One leg of the awareness campaign commenced today from the Matale district. The 3-wheeler taxi driver in the Ambagahamula area supported the course which commenced in Matale today. The awareness campaign got underway in Gonavala Matale under the voluntary assistance rendered by the area residents and the police officers. The campaign, which got underway in the Matale town, centered on educating people about the importance of protecting children. The area residents were educated about the 1929 emergency hotline, which is being set up in order to notify officials about incidents of abuse through the door-to-door awareness campaign. Yet another leg of the awareness campaign commenced in the Trincomalee district. The stickers bearing the emergency hotline 1929, which is being set up by the National Child Protection Authority in order to lodge complaints relating to child abuse, was pasted on buses and shops. Teachers and students of the Varodaya Nagar Bharati Tamil College were also educated about the importance of being aware of children's protection. Sampur Settlement Village, Muttu and Kinya were among the locations that were covered as part of the awareness campaign. Incidents of child abuse could be reported via the emergency hotline set up by the National Child Protection Authority.
The Bar Association Sri Lanka has decided to obtain feedback on the US-sponsored resolution on Sri Lanka adopted at the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva recently. The decision was reached at an executive committee meeting of the association held yesterday.
All branches of the association have been informed of this. Power has been vested in the co-chairpersons, and they have been entrusted with the responsibility of taking into account the views of each and every branch that falls under the purview of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. It was suggested by the association to put forward feedback gathered from lawyers to a committee consisting of experts. Later, decisions taken up by that committee will be put through to a special executive committee meeting. After that, decisions reached by that committee will be taken up by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. And finally, the response of the general public will be taken into consideration as well. Subsequent to all of these stages, the opinion of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka will be made public.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has also directed its attention to a letter which stated that the investigations of the CID over Justice Sarath Diabru on allegations of assault and sexual abuse were not justifiable. Ajit Patharana noted that a team including the lawyers appearing on behalf of Sarath Diabru had put forward the letter.
It was mentioned in the letter that Sarath Diabru had rejected the allegation completely. In his statement, he has stated that the CID has forwarded the case to the Attorney General, stating that the case has concluded without minor statements from eyewitnesses, specialist accounts from those who are aware of the case. The letter goes on to state that due to this, Justice Diabru was not treated in a justifiable manner. Accordingly, the Bar Association decided to request for a fair trial for Sarath Diabru from the Attorney General.
Up next is Biz First.
The World Bank says that it intends to increase the aid granted to Sri Lanka. Discussions were held between Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayake and officials of the World Bank on the sidelines of the annual summit of the World Bank and IMF in Lima in Peru. The Ministry of Finance noted that World Bank had agreed to extend its support to facilitate a financing policy in various sectors in Sri Lanka in order to enhance economic productivity, make progress in the sectors of export, enterprise and investment promotions. Issuing a communique, the Ministry of Finance also noted that the World Bank had expressed a positive outlook in Sri Lanka's strides to increase investor confidence. The annual summit, which saw the participation of 188 ministers and representatives from across the world, touched on topics that serve as important in the world economy. Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayake is slated to make submissions about the measures taken in terms of the country's economic development.
The final leg of the Asian Rugby Sevens commenced today in Colombo. The Sri Lankan men's team defeated the Philippines and Malaysia respectively today. The women's team recorded a resounding 28-10 victory over Singapore to also qualify into the Cup quarter-finals.
Colombo was all geared up as the Asian Rugby Sevens kicked off in grand fashion. The Sri Lankan men's team locked horns with the Philippines this morning. Sri Lanka managed to hold the reins of the game and at the half whistle led 26-7. Sri Lanka recorded another 12 points to take the lead while keeping their opponents at bay. Sri Lanka won the game 38-7. The win comprised of 6 tries and 4 conversions. Sri Lanka also defeated Malaysia 40-0 and made it into the semi-finals, which will be played tomorrow.
Our expectation is to go on the final. So first we have to beat South Korea in quarterfinals. It will be a little bit tough game, but boys are ready for this. We had a good day today.
Sri Lanka also fought in the women's department and won the game against Singapore 28-10.
The annual Ladies College Muses College Regatta was held today at the Colombo Rowing Club for the 12th successive time. Yo's women of both schools battled it out on the waters of the Berea Lake, a clash that resulted in the Ladies College crew taking the shield home once again. The regatta took one on a nail-biting pace as Yo's women of Muses College scored a total of 25 points to Ladies College's 27 points. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.